It wasn't all that long ago when the Cleveland Browns would travel to New York every year to take on the Giants. Co-members of the old NFL Eastern Division, their battles were legendary throughout the 1950s and 60s. But with the merger came realignment, and now the Browns don't pop up to the Big Apple much anymore. In fact, these two clubs haven't played each other since 1977, when Cleveland quarterback Bernie Kosar was in 8th grade. Kosar has had his ups and downs in this his rookie season, while Giants quarterback Phil Simms, a 7-year veteran, has also endured something of a roller coaster campaign. Simms is 3rd in conference passing, and yet he has suffered through some trying moments that have hurt his team. But the Giants have been at or near the top this season, thanks partly to Simms and also to running back Joe Morris, who has fought off all challengers to become New York's premier ground-gaining threat. It would be a game where Morris would get a chance to show just how good he has become, matching up head-to-head with Cleveland's runners and their number 2 ranked rushing unit that has bulldozed the AFC. It's not Graham and Motley versus Connerly and Webster, or even Ryan and Warfield versus Tittle and Schaffner, but it is the rekindling of one of the NFL's grand old rivalries, with each club fighting for first place in their respective divisions. From the Meadowlands, it's the Cleveland Browns versus the New York Giants on the NFL Game of the Week. The Giants enter the game as the number 3 defense in the NFL, with the Browns right behind them as the 4th best defensive club. Ergo, said the experts, a low-scoring affair would ensue. These peerless prognosticators would be woefully wrong. But at the outset, the contest did resemble a Pier 10 brawl. The Giants got after Kosar, who was starting because veteran Gary Danielson was nursing a shoulder injury. The Giants took their lumps too, as the first quarter showcased physical play from both sides. New York finally got things rolling when Simms connected twice with rookie tight end Mark Bavaro, number 89, the Giants' 2nd leading receiver. It sparked the first of many profitable offensive marches that would be seen throughout the day. Bavaro's 2 catches were the big plays in New York's first quarter drive. A march ended by Joe Morris, who notched the first of 3 touchdowns he would score against the Browns. The Giants led 7-0, but the lead would not last long, as no lead would in this game. Kosar got on track on the next series with a scramble and tossed to a diving Brian Brennan, number 86. Then Kosar turned things over to the Big Mac attack. That, of course, is number 34, Kevin Mack, who in one quick play showed why he is the Browns' top ground game. Mack is technically a rookie, but he did serve some time with the USFL Los Angeles Express. This 42-yard jaunt was clearly an express run for Mack, who today would become Cleveland's top rookie rusher of all time, breaking Jim Brown's record set nearly 30 years ago. The first quarter ended in a 7-7 tie, and much, much more was just ahead. The Giants responded to Cleveland's score when their rookie runner, George Adams, number 33, blew over left tackle for a 39-yard advance. Just when it seemed that New York was going to pick up another score, Phil Simms made the first of several mistakes that would ultimately cost the Giants dearly. Number 29, cornerback Hanford Dixon swiped Simms' offering and put the Browns in solid field position. That soon became sensational field position when on the next play, the Browns profited handsomely on a Giant penalty. The officials ruled that safety Terry Kennard had interfered with Brian Brennan, placing the ball on the 2. From there, Ernest Biner, number 44, swept right end, and Cleveland had regained the lead at 14-7. Biner just did hug the corner to pick up the touchdown. And now with the lead, the Cleveland defense began to act as if that was all the scoring Cleveland would do for the rest of the game. Such fears were to be unfounded, but for the moment, the Browns were absolutely impenetrable. Another Cleveland score was forthcoming, and it came courtesy of the defense and third-year safety Al Gross, number 27. Gross's 37-yard return for a score was the first touchdown of his NFL career, and the second big mistake made by Phil Simms in the half. When Simms tried to hit Joe Morris on a sideline pattern, Gross read it perfectly, then picked up the easiest of touchdowns. The missed connection to Morris now made it 21-7 Browns. But in the blink of an eye, Little Joe got the touchdown back for the Giants, and it could not have come at a better time for them. When Morris broke off this 58-yarder, it became the longest run of his career. With this performance, Morris should soon become only the second player in Giants history to rush for 1,000 yards in a season, joining Ron Johnson. Unfortunately for New York, they missed the extra point, making it 21-13 Browns. But Cleveland wasn't going to get any more points either, at least not in the first half. With Kozar and company effectively out of commission, the Giants got the ball back with a little over a minute remaining in the half. Phil Simms desperately wanted to atone for his 2 earlier interceptions, and did just that with a well-conceived mix of run and pass that put the Giants into scoring range. After a quick hitter from number 30, Tony Galbraith, Simms became a one-man gang, first passing, then running his way into Cleveland territory. Simms hit on a clutch pass to number 80, Phil McConkey. And then with only 20 seconds remaining, he hooked up with number 88, Bobby Johnson. And the Giants had closed the gap to a single point. At the half, the Browns barely led 21-20, and the Giants and their fans had to be heartened by the comeback. But in the final 30 minutes, the denizens of the Meadowlands were in for a crushing conclusion. In 4 previous defeats, the Giants had lost by a combined total of 11 points. Sadly for Gotham fans, that trend would continue against the Browns as the cheers would eventually turn to tears. Browns defense, one of the finest overall units in the NFL, had been burned at the end of the first half as the Giants marched 80 yards in 6 plays rather easily. That score had made it a one-point game and stung the pride of Cleveland's defenders, who began the second half cutting 5'7" Joe Morris even further down to size. Morris found little room to maneuver after gaining 88 yards in the first half. And he was not the only Giant to incur Cleveland's defensive wrath. Quarterback Phil Simms also fell victim to the charge. But the Giants can also play defense, and they made the Browns rather aware of that as well. As a matter of fact, much of the third quarter featured the hard-hitting play of 2 of the top 4 defensive teams in all of pro football. Trailing 21-20 at home, New York needed to generate some offense to take control of this game and remain in the first-place tie with the Cowboys in the NFC East. Midway through the third quarter, the Giants did, using the passing of Simms to a variety of receivers, including Maurice Carthen, number 44. This 19-yard strike to wide receiver Bobby Johnson set up what would turn out to be the only score of the third period, a 35-yard field goal by New York's Eric Schubert. Schubert's three-pointer gave the Giants a 23-21 lead. Schubert's role in this contest would take on monumental proportions, particularly in the game's final moments. But for now, his field goal initiated a stretch of play in which New York seemed to take charge, both offensively and defensively. With Bernie Kosar struggling against New York's outstanding defense, the Browns turned the offense over to veteran Gary Danielson, whose shoulder injury had limited him to spot duty for the last month. Danielson, however, proved to be no better at solving the Giants' defensive riddle. Late in period 3, he nailed Terry Kennard, number 43, with a strike that the Giants safety returned to the Cleveland 15. From there, it did not take long for the Giants to get into the end zone. In fact, it took only 2 plays, and they were both powerful bursts by Joe Morris, number 20. Morris would finish the game with 131 yards on the ground, as he maintained a pace that would make him the first Giant to rush for over 1,000 yards since Ron Johnson in 1972. Morris's third touchdown of the game on the first play of the fourth period increased New York's lead to 30-21 and seemed to put the Giants in the driver's seat. With a 9-point lead in the final period and a defense as aggressive and as stingy as just about any in the NFL, the Giants figured to be in strong shape to win their 9th game of the season and maintain a share of first place in their division. Things even took a turn for the better when New York forced another turnover, using a cornerback blitz to create a Danielson fumble that the Giants recovered in Cleveland territory. The result, however, was only a field goal, not a touchdown, as the Giants, in what may well have been the game's turning point, could not fully capitalize. Schubert's second field goal made it New York 33 and Cleveland 21 with 12 minutes remaining in the game. From this point forward, things would not go the Giants' way. Gary Danielson had to be the man on the spot for Cleveland. The Browns, like the Giants, are fighting for first place in their division, the AFC Central. And they cannot afford to lose games in which they had built up a 2-touchdown lead. With time now a factor, Danielson's teammates responded to his leadership, and the veteran quarterback directed a quick 6-play drive that featured 3 Danielson completions, beginning with this 29-yarder to Ozzie Newsome. The third completion was the charm, a 25-yard toss to wide receiver Clarence Weathers, number 85, for the touchdown. The Browns had taken less than 3 minutes to get right back in the game, due largely to the poised and composed play of Danielson. Danielson had not panicked. He had shaken off his earlier mistakes and thrown picture-perfect passes when he had to. The score to Weathers brought the Browns to within 5 at 33-28 and simply set the stage for more heroics by Danielson and his mates. With 7 minutes left in the fourth quarter, the Browns got the ball back, and they proceeded to grind out a tough offensive march that featured some hard running by Ernest Biner, number 44. But the key plays were again made by Danielson. On a 3rd and 10, he correctly recognized a giant blitz and hit Weathers for 26 yards and a drive-sustaining first down. Then on an even more critical 4th and 2, Danielson coolly went to a secondary receiver in Biner over the middle. And the big running back in what may have been the game's biggest play broke the attempted tackle of that noted Superman Lawrence Taylor and turned it into a 26-yard gain. With the game on the line in the fourth quarter, the Browns' offense, not among the league's most explosive, had made big play after big play against the 3rd-best defense in the NFL. The final one came with less than 2 minutes to go, when Biner, not to be denied, scored from 9 yards out. The Browns had taken the lead 35-33. The Giants had less than 2 minutes to work their way into field goal range and come away with a needed 1-point victory. Phil Simms led New York on a march highlighted by both improvisation and crisp offensive execution. The biggest and the most talked about play began with 51 ticks left on the fourth quarter clock. It was a well-conceived rollout pass by Simms to Byron Williams, designed to pick up yardage and, more importantly, stop the clock. It appeared to do its intended job on both counts. But the official ruled that Williams' forward progress had been stopped before he had gotten out of bounds, and consequently the clock did not stop. This beautiful piece of offensive execution turned out to hurt the Giants more than it helped them. Instead of calling timeout immediately, and they had 2 left at this point, they waited over 20 seconds, losing valuable time. The result was that Schubert's game-winning field goal attempt had to come from 34 yards away instead of perhaps a closer distance. Schubert missed as time ran out and the Giants were losers. It was a memorable game that stirred visions of Brown-Giant duels of years ago. But for Eric Schubert, the memory will not be a pleasant one. On the other hand, the Browns moved into sole possession of first place in the AFC Central. The final from Giants Stadium, Cleveland 35, the Giants 33.